This is Steve Robbins. Welcome to the Get It Done Guys quick and dirty tips to work less and do more. Today, we're going to master difficult conversations. Europa unfortunately mixed up several purchase orders for Bernice's plant stores, Green Growing Things 1 and 2. Deliveries were made to the wrong addresses, and by the time it was all sorted out, new purchases had been made, inventory was duplicated, and everything was a mess. The cost overrun is high enough that Bernice really wants Europa to pick up half the bill. Every time she sees Europa, she gets a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach because Europa's her friend, and she hates the idea of bringing up the topic. So instead, she comes into my office and tells me, corners Melvin in the stockroom and tells him, discusses it with her friends outside work, and pretty much hashes over the situation with everyone except Europa. Sound familiar? As far as I can tell, the number one strategy that people have for dealing with difficult conversations with each other is to avoid having difficult conversations with each other. And what happens when you avoid having a difficult conversation? As far as I can tell, it almost always makes things even more difficult. My friend Ashley has been in a long-term relationship that came to an abrupt end when the significant other, who we'll call Evil Schmoopy for short, announced out of the blue that they were breaking up. Now, what multiplied the trauma for poor Ashley is that Evil Schmoopy had said during multiple recent relationship discussions that the relationship was fine and that long-term was the way to go. So not only did Ashley not see this coming, but Evil Schmoopy turbocharged the missile before firing it. But when you're old and wise like me, you've been down both sides of that particular missile. Well, wait a minute. How many sides does a missile have anyway? I don't know Evil Schmoopy, but I'm willing to bet that this wasn't a horrible, evil deception intended to stab Ashley in the heart and create a lifelong distrust of love and a rejection of intimacy. No, I'll bet that Evil Schmoopy was actually thinking something like this. Oh, I don't want to be together with Ashley romantically, but I still care deeply. I really, really don't want to do anything that would be hurtful to such a wonderful person. But admitting that I don't want to be together anymore would be hurtful, so instead I'll lie and I'll say that everything's fine. Was Evil Schmoopy deceptive? Absolutely, but only because they didn't know how to have a difficult conversation with Ashley. Avoiding the difficult conversation was intended to spare Ashley's feelings, but instead it made the ultimate breakup far more painful than it would have been otherwise. And by the way, if Evil Schmoopy is listening, I expect you to pick up the bill for Ashley's therapy, just as Bernice expects Europa to help cover her mistake. The book Difficult Conversations by Douglas Stone, Bruce Patton, and Sheila Heen lays out a simple but powerful framework for approaching difficult conversations. Each conversation you see is really 3 conversations. It's a conversation about facts, a conversation about feelings, and a conversation about identity. When you're going into a difficult conversation, get those 3 conversations clear in your mind and use them to help resolve things with the other person. Everyone has their own story. The problem isn't your story or their story. The problem is the difference between the stories, and the difference can arise in any one of the 3 conversations, or more. Differences can be about facts. The first conversation is about the objective facts of the situation. Without a mutual understanding of facts, the rest of the conversation will fall apart. If you want proof, look at politics. Bernice's first step is to sit down with Europa, find out Europa's story, and share her own without judgment. Purchase orders for seeds were supposed to be submitted for Store 1, but it was submitted for Store 2 instead. While we were untangling that mistake, a duplicate order was submitted. Does that match what happened as you experienced it? There's no judgment here, just a review of the facts. Europa might say, well, the request from inventory showed that Store 2 seed stock was low, so the purchase order for seeds should have been submitted for Store 2, as was done. Reviewing the facts together can uncover factors that made it clear the feared issue is just an illusion in the first place. Differences can also be about feelings. The conversational elephant in the room that no one is talking about is feelings. Unsurfaced feelings can leak out and throw our conversations into chaos. Surface your feelings in the conversation and listen to the other person's feelings so you can discuss them. I'm feeling really frustrated that we had to spend double the money on seeds. I am angry, and also I am scared of the financial consequences. Make sure to describe feelings only and not judgments. You can feel angry, you can feel hurt, you can feel scared. Those are feelings. You can't feel betrayed or attacked or let down. Those are interpretations that are based on feelings. The interpretation may be betrayed, but the underlying feeling is going to be anger or fear. Differences can also be about identity. The biggest gotchas in difficult conversations is when our identities get involved. When core beliefs about who we are get challenged, we get defensive fast. And the same goes for the person you're talking to. The remarks may be explicit, "You're an incompetent poopy head," or implicit. They say, "I don't like the font." And what you hear is, "You're an incompetent poopy head." In this case, you're reacting from a place of identity when they were simply making a comment about the font. 3 identity hot buttons are threats to your competence, threats to your status as a good person, and threats to your feeling of worthiness. There's no magic bullet for diffusing identity conflict, but before you enter the discussion, re-ground yourself. Recognize that you may be competent and still have made a mistake. You are basically good, but your intentions are complex, and that may have played out differently in the real world. You may be worthy, and yet in this case, you may have contributed to the situation, whatever it is. Then, if you feel your hackles starting to rise during the conversation, notice if it's one of these identity issues being threatened, and if so, take a break, take a deep breath, and calm down. When you do have a conversation, approach it with your identity issues. That's where Bernice is starting. She's about to go talk to Europa. She's starting with identity and reminding herself that she's a good person. She's pretty competent, and she's worthy. She's also reminding herself that Europa is a good person, pretty competent, and worthy. She'll begin by listening and seeking to understand. Then she'll share her feelings and facts, and only then will she move into problem solving. "Europa, could we talk about the seed situation? I would like to understand it from your perspective." And they're off. Hey, Get It Done Guy fans. If you like listening to my podcast, why not subscribe to our Quick and Dirty Tips newsletters? You'll get exclusive content, offers, and more delivered right to your inbox. Just head over to quickanddirtytips.com/newsletters to learn more. That's quickanddirtytips.com/newsletters. This is Steve Robbins. Follow Get It Done Guy on Twitter and Facebook. I help people create extraordinary lives and careers. If you want to know more, visit steverrobbins.com. That's SteverRobbins.com. Work less, do more, and have a great life.